Welcome to Learn at Work podcast, which is sponsored by iOS Press, the publisher of Work, a journal of prevention, assessment, and rehabilitation. We're delighted to host this podcast that will bring together insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions on topics that matter most in the realm of health, rehabilitation, work, prevention, and assessment. What can you expect from our podcast? We'll have expert interviews, individuals who have published in the journal, and we'll dive into conversations with leaders who have shared their valuable experience and expertise. You'll learn about different latest work trends, technology, and best practices. I'm Karen Jacobs, the founding editor of Work, and I'm the moderator of these podcasts. Welcome to this episode of Learn at Work, a podcast that is sponsored by the journal Work, a journal of prevention, assessment, and rehabilitation. Today, we'll be talking to Kate Stewart, who is on our editorial board and is also putting together with a group of colleagues a special issue. So Kate, welcome.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm delighted that you are a member of our editorial board of Work. And I thought maybe we could begin by talking about what is it like to be on an editorial board? What responsibilities do you have? And what you get from being on a board, towards maybe your own professional development?
Of course. Well, I should say that I'm delighted to be on the editorial board of Work as well. It is the first editorial board that I've ever had the pleasure of being involved with. And it's been really such an amazing experience so far. I would say in terms of my responsibilities for Work, there are a few. Primarily, I would suggest that my responsibility is to help to review some of the manuscript submissions that are submitted to the journal. So I, along with other folks, read over those manuscripts and take a look at how the manuscripts fit with the journal in terms of Work's scope and its audience. Also taking a look to see if the manuscripts really contribute something new or timely or important to the field. Of course, we take a look at scholarly rigor, thinking about clarity of research questions, descriptions around methodology is, design appropriate, our methods described really well enough so that we have an understanding or a picture of what the authors did, taking a look at the data, use of literature, all of that, of course, thinking a little bit about writing and presentation, as well as I might say something along the lines of critical insight or a critical application. So, thinking about whether authors reflect on their findings, what it is that they're saying about their findings and how they're adding to our body of knowledge, addressing limitations, thinking about implications, etc. So there's lots of different pieces to think about as we're sort of looking at the manuscripts that are submitted. And that's sort of one piece of my responsibility. Another piece is attending board meetings that happen every so often, contributing to discussion and contributing to decisions about the journal as appropriate and when invited. And then, of course, we are also invited as editorial board members to submit articles to the journal ourselves for consideration. So it's a number of things that we are invited to do, and it's an exciting batch of things. And in terms of what it is that I feel like I gain from being on the editorial board, so much, really. I don't really exactly know where to start, but I think one of the things that sticks out in my mind is really the opportunity to be at the forefront of exciting and innovative conversations and studies about work in general, seeing the amazing work that people do before it's necessarily published and out in the world. But I love being able to sort of have that behind the scenes look a little bit of some of the studies that will be published shortly. And I also feel that being part of the editorial board gives me a sense of community and connection. It's wonderful to be working with scholars from all over the world. Something that I think the Work Journal does Journal does very well, I should say, is there is a really explicit desire to engage with folks from all across the world, different countries, different perspectives. And I love working with the other members of the editorial board and, opening my eyes to different ways of thinking and doing.
Okay, thank you. And we love having you on the editorial board. And you address some of the topics that I think we encourage our editorial board members to think about when they do a peer review. And our process is a double-blind peer review. So you don't know who the author is, and they don't know who the reviewer is. And that's been important to us as well. You mentioned our editorial board meetings, and that's something that we feel is really important. We want to hear from our editorial board members on directions for the journal, their feedback, because when the journal started in 1990, one of our explicit goals was to be author friendly. And we have stayed with that through the duration of 3 decades, going on to 36 years of the journal being published. And that is really important. So I want to thank you for your feedback. And even if there's an article that really doesn't fit the journal or perhaps has some multiple challenges, we always, and I will underscore this, always make sure that our feedback to an author is in a very positive manner. So thank you.
Yes, I certainly can see that the journal is author friendly and board member friendly. It's a very inclusive and positive space, sort of no matter what the outcome of the review is, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and that's important. And I from my own experience publishing some of my work, that was really an important feature that I wanted to see as the founding editor of the journal. So, Kate, you are involved in an interesting topic with a group of colleagues. And I hope you can share with us, how did that group get started? How did you get started on the topic that you're going to share with us that will be a special issue of work in the future?
Sure. So the group that you're speaking about is a group of folks who are working right now on thinking a little bit about uncertainty specifically in occupational therapy practice and education, because all of us at the moment are occupational therapy practitioners and educators, but also thinking about uncertainty in healthcare more broadly. We came together through conversations on the AOTA, the American Occupational Therapy Association, has a community messaging board. And there was a group of 3 people who started a conversation on that messaging board. And I was invited to join this group of people because one of my colleagues thought that I might be interested in the conversation that was going on. The conversation that initially we were having was not really related to uncertainty at all, but through conversation that we had, we all realized that uncertainty in occupational therapy practice and our work as educators and as therapists was something that we were thinking about. Specifically, we're really interested in understanding how it is that occupational therapists reason through uncertainty, leverage uncertainty for creativity and innovation in the work that they do. And again, that work is very much focused on interacting with clients or patients, but also thinking about that work as educating students who are looking to become occupational therapists.
Kate, yes, please share some more about this with us.
Sure. So the work that we've done so far is really just preliminary, I would say. We've been working together for about a year and a half now, I think, maybe closer to 2 years, and have been fortunate enough to have developed some presentations. We've presented at the Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists conference, have presented to the American Occupational Therapy Academic Education Special Interest section, and are going to be presenting at the eNote conference that is coming up in October, which is this month in Portugal. So we've been fortunate to be able to sort of share some of our ideas and thinking and questions that we've had about how, particularly as educators in that work, we use or acknowledge the fact that there is uncertainty in healthcare. There is uncertainty in the stuff that we do as occupational therapists, and what do we do with that? How do we address that? How do we, recognize that uncertainty exists and sort of move forward and make decisions, given that we can't know all of the information that exists in the world. And I was having a conversation with Karen, with you the other day, and you very generously invited our group to think about editing a special issue of the Work Journal related to uncertainty and work. So thinking about the notion that uncertainty doesn't only exist in the realm of occupational therapy practice and education, but in many, if not all, areas of the work that we do in all forms. There are aspects of uncertainty, things that we're not sure about, but we still have to make decisions and do the functions of our job. And so how do we do that? What does that look like? So that's something that we're really excited about and interested in exploring a little bit more, hearing different perspectives about uncertainty in work, that intersection.
Yeah, Kate, thank you so much. I'm very much looking forward to the special issue. For people who are interested in learning more, is there an email that they can reach out to you? Also, are you thinking about certain types of articles that you'd like to see people submit?
Yes. Well, if you are interested in learning more, you'd be welcome to contact me. And my email is katestu@bu.edu. And I believe you would also be welcome to contact the Work Journal directly. And in terms of the types of articles that we're looking for, I would say we're very open. We, in all transparency, are just sort of at the beginning stages of really trying to develop a call for papers for this special issue. So details certainly will be emerging, but I would suggest that review papers would certainly be accepted. Empirical studies would also be accepted as well. Individual studies, like intervention studies, for example.
So there's many different forms, and on the Work Journal website, you'll be able to see all of that information when we get the call for papers.
Great.
So Kate, thank you so much for being on Learn at Work and for your contributions as an editorial board member, as well as a co-editor of the special issue of something like Uncertainty and Work.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, for inviting me to speak with you this morning and to be on the Learn at Work podcast, and also for allowing me the opportunity to work as a member of the editorial board of the Work Journal. It's been an amazing experience.
Well, thank you. And everyone, thank you for listening to this podcast. We come out monthly, and I hope you'll subscribe. Have a wonderful day.